Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived two sisters named Rahila and ADANNA. They lived in a tiny mud house with their mom, Ada. Life was hard because their father had passed away, and their mother had to work so much just to get some food. They were always hungry, and school was like a dream they couldn't catch. Rahila, the big sister, met a nice man who liked her a lot. He was not poor like them. He had a big house and many resources. Rahila, after some days of courting, she got married to this man, and her new home was like a palace. She felt happy but also sad because her sister and mom were still living in the poor house. One day, Rahila thought of herself. She invited ADANNA and her mother Ada to come and live with her in the big house. She assured them they are not going to be hungry anymore, and now they could sleep in a very good house where there is no leaking when the rains come. ADANNA and the mother were so surprised and happy at the same time. They packed their small bags and went to Rahila's new home. Life in the big house was like a dream. They had plenty of food, and ADANNA could now go to school. The house had many rooms and a big garden. Her mother Ada helped Rahila with her chores, and ADANNA could now be able to socialize with the kids in the village without being seen as the poor child. One day, a big party happened in the village, and everyone was invited. Rahila, ADANNA, and their mother Ada dressed in colorful clothes. This was like a dream come true because they never had new clothes. They always wear the tattered ones, the ones their mother could afford. They danced and sang, feeling like the luckiest people in the world. The villagers looked at them with big smiles, happy to see the family now shining like stars. As the night went on, Rahila thanked her sister and her mom for coming with her. She said to them, "We are a family and will never be poor again." ADANNA hugged Rahila and Ada wiped away happy tears. The sisters knew no matter what had happened, they would always be together. Days went by and things were good in the big house. ADANNA loved the fact that she was now able to go to school and socialize with her friends. When she was not at school, she helped Rahila with cooking. But something changed when Obioma, Rahila's husband, was around. ADANNA's eyes would look at him differently, and sometimes she smiled when he talked. Rahila noticed it, feeling a bit strange in her heart. One day, Rahila and ADANNA were in the kitchen, and Obioma walked in to get some water. ADANNA blushed and looked down, staring at the pot nervously. Rahila felt a little weird seeing that and asked ADANNA, "Why are you acting like that?" ADANNA just shook her head, saying nothing. "I was just looking at the pot so that it could not burn." For the trust she had for her sister, she believed maybe she was overthinking, and she decided to ask ADANNA for forgiveness. Another day during the party, ADANNA danced with Obioma. A little too close, and Rahila saw it. Her eyes got watery and she felt a pain inside. After the party, Rahila talked to ADANNA in a quiet corner. "Why are you dancing like that with my husband?" ADANNA looked down, not saying a word. Rahila felt like her world was falling apart. Now she knew that she was just not fumbling, but it was true that ADANNA had feelings for her husband. Rahila decided to talk to her mother about the issue, and her mother told her not to think like that. Maybe she was overthinking. But they decided that they together were going to look if it is true, and her mother will now be so cautious anytime ADANNA is near to Obioma. The next day, Rahila and her mother watched closely as ADANNA and Obioma talked in the garden. ADANNA laughed too much and Obioma smiled back. Rahila's heart hurt and she thought about what to do. She felt angry and sad at the same time, like a storm inside her chest. But her mother told her, "Let us see if anything else will happen before we conclude." On that same evening, Rahila sat ADANNA down and asked, "Do you like my husband Obioma?" ADANNA's face turned red and she whispered, "I don't know." Rahila felt tears coming and she said, "He is my husband, for crying out loud, ADANNA. You can't like him like that." ADANNA looked down, saying sorry over and over again. Rahila decided that they needed to talk as a family. She told Obioma what she saw and how it made her feel. Obioma was surprised and said he didn't know ADANNA felt that way. Rahila felt a mix of emotions but knew they had to find a way to fix the things. The next days were hard, with Rahila feeling sad and ADANNA feeling guilty. They talked a lot and Obioma made sure to keep a distance. Slowly things got better and the storm in Rahila's heart started to calm down. The family worked together to make the love of the big house strong again, like it used to be in their village quarters. After all the talking, things got confusing in this house. Obioma, he started acting strange, giving secret looks at ADANNA. Rahila felt more storms in her heart, not knowing what had happened. One day, ADANNA told Rahila that Obioma said he liked her too. Rahila's heart broke into many pieces. Days passed and ADANNA and Obioma were sneaking around like little mice. They laughed together and shared secrets, and Rahila wasn't part of it. One evening they disappeared for a long time and Rahila felt like she lost something very important. The sadness was heavy in the air. Their mother Ada tried to stop them, but it looked like they did not listen to her. She even said that she was going to leave that house if this was going to continue happening. Then something even more surprisingly happened. ADANNA told Rahila that Obioma wanted to marry her. Rahila couldn't believe it. After all she had done for her sister wanted to steal her husband. She thought it was a bad dream. When she asked Obioma, he said that he loved ADANNA more than she loved her. Rahila's heart shattered into tiny pieces. She did not know what to do. It was such a heartbreak that she did not expect. ADANNA and Obioma got married in a secret ceremony, and Rahila heard this through rumors. She looked at her mom, Ada, who was also very sad and disappointed. She did not believe that her child ADANNA would do that after raising her with good morals. This time round, ADANNA started being rude to her own mother and her sister. She would now order them around the house as if she was the boss. And if they did not listen to her, she would hide all the foodstuffs, and she enjoyed when they went hungry. They decided to leave the house, the garden, and all the dreams they had. Their mom Ada said to Rahila, "We have to go and start all over again, my child." Rahila nodded with a heavy heart with disappointment. They left in the quiet of the night like goats. Rahila looked back in the house with tears in her eyes. She never thought her own sister and her husband would do this to her. Ada held her hand saying, "We go find a new home full of happiness." Rahila tried to smile, but it was hard. After some days, they started a new life in a small house. It was not like the big house, but it was theirs. They owned it. Rahila helped her mother with everything, feeling like the big sister again. The pain in her heart started to go away, like the sun coming out after a rainy day. Even though Rahila and Ada missed the dreams they had in the big house, they found new happiness in the small house. They planted a little garden and sang songs together when they felt lonely. Rahila realized that family is more important than a big house and big dreams that break. They were healing, and their life was like a fresh start in the village of dreams. Time passed, and the big house was not a happy place anymore. ADANNA and Obioma started fighting a lot, like angry thunderstorms, because Obioma used to tell ADANNA in everything that she did not do it well like Rahila could. Rahila felt sad for her sister, even though she had done that to her, seeing her dreams crumble. One day, fighting reached at the point where Obioma chased ADANNA away, like a stray dog. ADANNA, with tears in her eyes, wandered in the village like a lost bird. She had no home, no food, and no one to talk to. Life was like a scary forest she didn't know how to walk through. She became a beggar, asking for crumbs of bread from people. One day while begging, ADANNA heard whispers about her mom and sister, where they were living. She felt a spark of hope and followed the whispers like a little mouse. When she found their small house, she felt joy in her heart, thinking she was now back home. But when she knocked the door, Rahila and her mother Ada looked surprised and angry. They shouted, "You bring bad luck, go away." ADANNA's heart broke into even smaller pieces. She begged them to let her in, but they pushed her away like a stranger. The pain in her chest was too much. ADANNA, with no place to go, continued wandering the streets, feeling like a shadow. She missed everything, the big house, her sister, and her mom. Life became a big empty space, and she wished she could turn back time. Meanwhile, Lahira and Ada tried to forget the pain and build a new happiness in their small home. Thank you so much for watching this wonderful story. Please consider subscribing, like, comment, and share with your friends. Let us meet in my next story. Bye bye.